Alright, so let's try and take a look at what exactly went wrong. Let's compare our code with this code. Now, I'm creating an object turret range at the position of the turret. And if I were to delete this, we will see exactly where the turret range is being created. Here we go. Alright, so the top left corner of our circle corresponds to the top left corner of our turret range, at least the image of it. Now, the problem is that this isn't exactly what this code is doing. If I look where I click. The coin is directly in the center, or my mouse is directly in the center of the coin I create. Same thing with the brick. Let's take a look at their code. So we see here, if I press the right mouse button, I'm going to create a brick object, not just at the mouse position, but at the mouse position minus some values. And the same thing with the coin. I'm going to create the coin at the position of the mouse minus the width divided by 2, minus the height divided by 2. That way my mouse is in the center of the coin I create. And if the coin is in collision with the brick, then I'm going to move the coin to the brick. Okay. And that's done by adding the values that we added. So first, our code isn't exactly the same. So we can't just blindly copy. We have to go ahead and make this our own. So how do we do that? Well, let's say I'm trying to get this right here to be in the center. The center of my circle to be in the center of the sprite. How could I do that? Well, is there any create turret range from the center? Can I create my object turret range from the center? Because currently, what I've always been doing is creating this turret range object from the origin. And that's just by default. But what if I could create it from the center? So what if I made this origin the center of my circle? What if I changed the default values, 0, 0, and made it exactly the same as center? So what if I made origin 10, nope, a little bit more. Well, let's go ahead and look. Let's look at my image. So half of that is 32, half of that is 32. So what if I made my origin the center of my circle? And if I create this turret range object, it will create it from the center. Let's go ahead and try that. I've changed my origin. Let's go see and see if any changes happen. Good, nothing's happening. And then, wow, look, we created this object from the center. But we don't want it to be right here. We want to create this at a center of this object. Now, how can I do that? Well, what if I don't create it at the position of turret X, turret Y, but I create it from the center of my turret? And I think we have a point for that called center. So let's go ahead and change this to point X. And what point? The center point. point Y. And at what point? The center point. Let's see if that changes things. Awesome. Now it depends. I am center to this whole thing, this whole turret, but I'm a little off of the body. So you can go ahead and adjust that if you want. Let's try -10. That's a little more central. But my question is, what if my turret rotates? Would that look weird? So I'm just going to add an event quickly, and I'm just going to make it rotate toward my mouse just to check. So angle, rotate toward position. I want turret, mouse X. I think this is what the code is. Oh, I need to give it speed. 0. Let's try that out. I click. So there's my turret range. It does look a little bit off. It looks fine here, but if I rotate, it looks a little bit weird. I'm gonna go ahead and take that -10 off and just leave it there for now. Awesome. So we managed to get our code, our game, to make it so that, hey, if I want to create my turret range, if I want to see it, click, there it is. Now there are two problems to this right now. One is if I click elsewhere, that turret range still is there. We'll need to address that. The other thing is, this turret range is always a fixed size. I want to resize it depending on my range of my turret. For example, what if my turret could shoot 200 units away, while another turret could only shoot 50 units away? I want this turret range circle to accurately represent that. Now, one thing you could do is create turret range sprites for not only each turret type, but also for each turret. But you can kind of see how difficult that would be and how many sprites you need. Instead, why don't we just try using this one turret range to try to accurately get all of the turret ranges. And this is when we need to talk about instance variables. We kind of briefly talk about that in a platformer game, but we'll need to revisit that in order to better make this game.